Ever felt your heart race in a tight elevator? Or froze at the sight of a spider crawling nearby? What about that dizzying panic when you're too high up, or the unease from a painted smile that just won't blink? Welcome to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into fear itself, not just any fear, but the phobias that haunt our minds and creep into our favorite films. From claustrophobia to arachnophobia, from the fear of heights to the all-too-familiar fear of clowns, we are counting down 5 spine-tingling movies that tap into our darkest anxieties. We'll explore how these films don't just scare you, they trap you inside the phobia. You'll feel it in your chest. You'll want to look away. And yet, you won't be able to. Think you're brave enough? Stick around as we count down the top 5 movies about phobias and maybe face a fear or two along the way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your biggest fear in the movies. Let's get into it. What happens when a peaceful town is invaded by 8-legged killers? Welcome to the creepy, crawly world of arachnophobia, the 1990 horror comedy that made an entire generation terrified of spiders. Our story begins deep in the Venezuelan rainforest. A research team stumbles across a deadly, previously undiscovered species of spider, large, aggressive, and highly venomous. When one of these spiders hitches a ride back to the United States inside a coffin, things start going downhill fast. Enter Dr. Ross Jennings, played by Jeff Daniels, a city doctor looking for a quiet life in a small California town with his wife and kids. Ironically, Ross has one big problem: he's terrified of spiders. Part horror, part comedy, Arachnophobia balances real scares with dark humor and surprisingly smart storytelling. It taps into a universal fear, those creepy little creatures hiding in the shadows, waiting to pounce. Arachnophobia proves that sometimes the smallest monsters are the scariest, and it might just make you check under your bed tonight. What happens when your worst fears aren't just in your head, but buried deep underground? Welcome to The Descent, a psychological and physical horror that drags you into the dark and doesn't let go. This British horror film, directed by Neil Marshall, starts with grief, sisterhood, and then takes a sharp turn into primal terror. We follow a group of 6 adventurous women, friends, thrill-seekers, bonded by shared experience, as they reunite for a cave-diving expedition in the Appalachian Mountains. What begins as a fun reunion turns tense when they descend into an uncharted cave system. As they push deeper, cracks in their friendship start to show, and that's before they realize they are not alone. There's something down there with them. Something that's been waiting. Hunting. Part survival story, part psychological breakdown, The Descent is a masterclass in claustrophobia, dread, and raw panic. It explores the darkness inside and out, how trauma shapes us, and how fear strips us down to our most savage instincts. The Descent isn't just a horror movie. It's a descent into the human psyche. Are you ready to go down? Today we are diving into one of Alfred Hitchcock's greatest psychological thrillers, Vertigo, 1958. A film that's not just about fear of heights, but the fear of obsession, illusion, and falling into madness. Meet Scotty Ferguson, a retired San Francisco detective played by James Stewart. After a rooftop chase goes horribly wrong, Scotty is left dangling from a building, frozen in fear. He survives, but not without a serious case of acrophobia, a paralyzing fear of heights. And even worse, vertigo. Struggling with his condition, Scotty is pulled back into mystery when an old friend asks him to follow his wife, Madeline. She's been acting strangely, wandering the city, visiting graves, staring at a portrait for hours, as if possessed. Scotty follows her. Watches her, and slowly, obsessively, falls in love with her. But just when he starts to believe she is Madeline, something tragic happens. She dies. Scotty is shattered, broken, emotionally and mentally. But months later, he sees a woman who looks just like her, only she says her name is Judy. Vertigo isn't just a mystery, it's a descent into psychological horror. A haunting look at how guilt, fear, and obsession can twist reality. Hitchcock takes a fear of heights and turns it into a fear of falling, not just physically, but emotionally. If you haven't watched it, this one's a slow burn masterpiece that will stay with you long after the final fall. In the quiet town of Derry, Maine, children are disappearing. But this is no ordinary evil, this is it. Based on Stephen King's chilling novel, it follows a group of misfit kids who call themselves the Losers Club as they face off against an ancient, shape-shifting entity that feeds on fear and takes the terrifying form of a dancing clown named Pennywise. It all begins in 1988 when young Georgie Denborough chases his paper boat into the storm drain only to come face to face with Pennywise, who drags him into the darkness. Georgie's older brother, Bill, devastated by the loss, becomes obsessed with finding out what really happened. One by one, the losers start experiencing horrifying visions, each tailored to their deepest fear. Together, they piece together the truth: this creature awakens every 27 years to feast on the children of Derry. But rather than run, they fight back, facing Pennywise in the sewers in a battle that forces them to confront both the monster and their own trauma. It isn't just about a killer clown. It's about childhood fears, broken friendships, trauma, and the power of unity. Because when you face fear together, you might just defeat it. If Pennywise gave you chills, hit that like button and drop a comment with your favorite moment or your worst fear. This suspense thriller stars Ryan Reynolds as a truck driver in Iraq who is buried alive in a coffin with only a lighter and a cell phone. The entire film plays on the intense fear of confinement and being trapped. What follows is a race against time. Paul calls the US government his employer, even his family, but help is far away and time is running out. The coffin starts to leak sand. The air is thinning. And the clock is ticking. Buried is unique because the entire movie takes place inside that coffin. No flashbacks. No escape scenes. Just Paul and the viewer trapped together. You feel his fear. His helplessness. His anger. And that overwhelming, crushing sense of panic. Buried isn't just a survival story, it's a psychological nightmare that forces you to confront one terrifying question: what would you do if you woke up in a box? So, there you have it, the top 5 movies that don't just show fear, they trap you inside it. Whether it's the tight grip of claustrophobia, the spine-tingling crawl of arachnophobia, the dizzying fear of heights, or the eerie smile of a clown in the dark, each of these films pulls your worst nightmare onto the screen and dares you not to look away. If you enjoyed this dive into cinematic fear, hit that like button, subscribe for more horror and thriller breakdowns, and turn on that bell so you never miss a scare. Thanks for watching, and remember, fear is only fun when it's not real. Usually.